Well. I know it has been a while, but I want to invite people in. Go ahead and come in, pop on in. I'm calling this Saturation Saturday. And what I want to deal with today, I really want to deal with frustration. I want to deal with frustration. I know it's like Saturday at 3:30 Eastern. So I wanted to go ahead and just invite people in. So as you come on in, I'm going to go ahead and send out some invites. So if you all give me a minute, I'm going to send out some invites and ask you to do the same as you come in. Yes, I'm working technology well right now. So go ahead and come on in. Invite someone. Hello. Go ahead and paste your name. We're going to talk about frustration for just a minute. Go ahead and post your name so I can see who you are. Post your name. I can see who you are as I also invite people. I'm going to invite some people in right now. I want you to do the same. Hello, post who it is so I know who you are. We're going to deal with frustration. Just give me a couple minutes so we can go ahead and invite some folks in. Let's invite some folks in right now. Let's see. Let's get some people invited in here. Who needs to say it? Hello, come in and give me your name. And of course, tell me where you're coming in from. I'm not going to be before you long. I'm going to go ahead and share it. So I'm going to ask you also to share it. Even if you're on YouTube, I'm going to ask you to share it or catch the replay. Make sure you get it out there. I want to deal with the truth. And we got to be honest about where we are when it comes to, we got to be honest about where we are when it comes right now to frustration. So go ahead and jump on. I know it's a busy day. It's a weird time, right, to actually be on social media, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it for us to do that. And I'm looking over to the side. My apologies as I'm inviting some people in. So let's see here. Let's keep inviting some people on. And I'm going to ask you all to do the same. Go ahead and bring them in. Hello. We're going to talk about frustration here. Hello. Oh, yes. Don't you just love social media? You got to just love social media. I'm going to share it. Go ahead and jump on. Just a few more minutes while I continue to share here. Yes, just go ahead and jump on. I know you're probably riding in the car, you're doing everything. I'm looking over because I'm also trying to get my share out here, which makes it easier for me to do it this way. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to deal with frustration. So, again, hello. I know it's been a while. It is indeed Dr. K. I'm coming in. I really want to deal with a subject that, even in the replay, play it a few times if you need to. But I want to deal with the subject of frustration. And right now, it seems like frustration is at an all-time high for many people. There's a lot of us that are frustrated with so many things. And notice I said us. But what really brought me to doing this live today, and I was supposed to do it this morning, but okay, things happen. It was called my phone. What really drove me to doing this, hey, good morning, good afternoon, come on in. Make sure you invite somebody, put your name up so I know who you are. But frustration, what drove me to actually doing this live is something that I was planning on doing. But after dealing with my new phone, I realized that I needed to address it as maybe a life propelling moment, because I know if it's me, it's not just me. There's a few people. I know a lot of people right now really are dealing with frustration. So let me give you a quick story. So I bought a new phone. Yes, I'm a droid. I got my new phone. I got my new S22 phone. And so in the midst of getting my new phone, I was already dealing with some other things that were, had me at a point of frustration. But once I got my phone, it was like it was a catalyst for me to understand that there is value in my frustration, which means there's value in your frustration. You ever notice that it seems like when you're already at a point of frustration, that seems like when everything else starts happening? Well, that's happening for a reason. Why? Because it's trying to get you to see that there's more that you can do. You got to be able to see the value of your frustration. And it really seems like the more you do, either the worse things become, or the more you do, the more things kind of let's fall apart, or the more you do, it seems like the less success you have. But I want to take just a quick minute. I'm not going to be on here long. I'm calling this the Saturation Saturday. But I want to talk about the value of frustration because I experience it myself. Frustration is this, and I'm going to read it. It's a definition, but those who know me know how much I love words, right? So, frustration is this, it is the feeling, notice it's the feeling of being upset or annoyed. The feeling of being upset or annoyed, especially because of the inability to change or achieve something. What is frustration again? It is the feeling. Frustration is a feeling. It's a feeling that a lot of us are dealing with right now. And I'm talking about those who are believers in Jesus Christ and those who aren't. There's a lot of frustration now. Why can't things just fall in line? There's the frustration of why can't things change? The more I do, the worse it becomes. The more I try to focus on my finances, it seems the worse my finance becomes. The more I try to focus on a better relationship, it feels like the worse the relationship becomes. The more I try to get myself out there to improve myself from eating to working out to whatever it is, it seems like the more you do, the less things happen for you. And that change that you're seeking tends not to happen. So I want to talk about some of the importance of frustration. I know it's hard to believe, but frustration really does have some value. When frustration comes, and I'm speaking for myself, my phone, trying to deal with my phone, not doing what it's supposed to do, it showed me a lot more about me. I was already dealing with some frustration. But when I started dealing with my phone, like I'm personally, I do not like broken stuff. I'm one, if something is broken or if I have to repair it more than once or twice, I'm going to get a new one because I don't like broken stuff. If I pay for it to work, it should work. Don't forget to put your name in so I know who you are that's joining me. And don't forget to share it, please. Share this message out about frustration because I think more than a few people need it. But as I was saying, as we go through and we don't think about the value of frustration, but you know what? When you're frustrated, there's something being produced to help you change. There's something being produced to help you transition. There's something even being produced to help somebody else change. So I want to talk quickly because again, this is Saturation Saturday. It is midday. People are out and about. It's a beautiful day. But I wanted to get this done because I want to speak to those who've been in this moment of frustration way too long. I want to tell you, go ahead and embrace your frustration so that you can see the change. So, hey, Antonia, so what is frustration? First, I'm going to ask, what's frustrating you? We don't really identify the root of what's frustrating us. You know what we do? We cover it up with cliches. Well, I'm having a bad day. Well, the enemy is after me. Well, I just don't know. You know what? It's not that you don't know. And sometimes it's not the enemy. And sometimes you can't cover it up. It's truly the place of where you are mentally, physically, where things seems like it's just not working out for you. So what happens? You get into this place that whatever you put your hands to for that moment, you feel like it won't produce. You feel like it won't allow you to get to that point where you need to be. The more you give, it seems like the less you have. Even though we know those that believe in Christ, we know that the more that we give, God will give back unto us. But there are times when you don't want to hear scripture. Again, I'm an apostle, I'm a prophet, I'm a pastor of a church, but I am on here today to have some real talk for real people who are like, look, I'm believing, I'm trying, but things seem not to be happening. That is called frustration. Frustration is coming to upset you enough to get you out of your character. Me dealing with this phone and not being able to do what I need to do with the phone, a business I have, connections I have. I'm not able to do what I need to do with the phone. Even bought a new phone today and having the same problems. So it's like, well, wait a minute, it's not the phone. So I also had to realize, what does this mean? Prophetically, what does it mean that there's so much going on that no matter what you do, it can't get right? No matter what you do, it's not producing the harvest you need. No matter what you do, it seems like it's just not coming together. No matter how much you're believing, how much you're increasing your faith by hearing the word, it seems like there are things that are still holding you in bondage to getting things done. You know what that's called? Frustration. Frustration. So let me deal with a few things. Let me deal with a few things when it comes to frustration. What is, oh, help a brother. Amen. Welcome to the live. So what is this? What does frustration reveal? First of all, frustration reveals unrealistic expectations. If somebody can put that in the chat for me for the replay. The first thing frustration does, if you accept and realize where you are, frustration reveals unrealistic expectations. What am I saying? If you've ever been one that's ever worked out and you're like, man, I just want to drop 30 pounds. I want to drop 50 pounds. I want to drop 10 pounds, whatever that looks like for you. And you're going to the gym, you're eating right, but the weight is not moving. The first thing you start to become is frustrated with the process. The first issue we have is you have unrealistic expectations. It really is unrealistic to believe that you can lose that 30, 50, 80 pounds after 3 visits to the gym. Oh, I know somebody's laughing like, no, I didn't expect it in 3 visits. But even if you expect it in 3 weeks, it's unrealistic expectations. That is one of the main things that frustration will show you about you. Maybe you're placing unrealistic expectations on things and people to see the change you want. Maybe you are placing things that are untenable to meet based on what you want. So it's bringing about the frustration. And when frustration comes, it brings irritation. You ever been around somebody that's truly frustrated and they just can't get anything right? Oh, there's going to be a lot of irritation there. So when someone's irritated and they're frustrated, now you just have a whole lot of chaos. But the first thing you need to identify when you're in the midst of frustration, what is it? Where am I placing my expectation? What am I expecting to happen that's not happening? So now I'm irritated. Well, it's not supposed to happen for you right now. Or it's not supposed to happen through that individual. Or it's just not supposed to happen, period. But we got to make sure that we can measure our level of frustration and how we are now placing unrealistic expectations on people and situations. Here's number 2. When you're extremely frustrated, another thing that it will show you, it reveals that there could be some confusion between perception and truth. Yes, there can be some confusion between what you perceive should happen or what you perceive shall change and the truth of it. You know, it's like going into a relationship and you see these red flags about the person. But your whole thing is, well, I know what I see, but I truly believe that they're going to change just for me. What? There's some confusion between what you perceive that's going to happen and the truth that's sitting right before you. So then you become frustrated with the person and you believe it's the person doing something to you. But how about it's you not dealing with your perception instead of recognizing the truth? And I think every person's been in some type of situation. It could be work. It could be a relationship. You go in like, okay, I'm going into this new job and I expect something to be different. And so when you have this perception that it's going to be different, you get there and then you find out that this company this group of people are the exact same as the people that you left because you just joined the team. You just brought your unrealistic, remember part one, you just brought your unrealistic expectation to the table. So now you done brought your perception in instead of dealing with the truth. And the truth could be, it's you. I'm going to go back to my phone. The truth is, when I got my new phone, I read the reviews. I'm a Droid person. I love Android. Yes, I am for my Apple people. I love Androids. But when I got it and I read the review for the new flagship, I was like, oh, yes, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. So my perception of how things were going to change was so high that when I started dealing with the truth of what was required with this new system, it hit me and I became extremely frustrated. And frustration doesn't look good. I'm just going to tell y'all, it doesn't look good on us. So remember, the first one is unrealistic expectation. And the second one is dealing with perception over truth. Here's a third thing that happens when we're frustrated. We have displaced blame. Number three, the third thing that we can see when we're frustrated is that there is displaced blame. You blaming everybody, you're blaming somebody, but you're not taking an account for you. I had to take an account for me. And I'm talking about the phone because that was a catalyst for me doing this live. But I really want us to understand sometimes when we're frustrated, we got to be careful that we're not blaming the wrong person because we've now put them in a situation where we expect them to do something for us that we can't do for ourselves. Or we put somebody in an unrealistic place, or we confuse the truth, as I said, and we start having this displaced blame because we keep thinking that our happiness or our satisfaction is predicated on somebody else's actions. And that's not true. I'll give you an example from the Bible. You can go over and read the book of Jonas. When you read the book of Jonas, you will see that he was just so frustrated that God was not handling, that he was not handling the people of Nineveh right, meaning they needed to get God. Plain simple, slang for it. He was so irritated and he was so frustrated that he started making the worst decisions, but he knew he was blaming everybody but himself and where he was in life, where he was emotionally, where he was physically, where his heart was. And we do the same thing. We have displaced blame when we keep blaming other people for the wrong things. We shouldn't blame. The more you blame, the more frustrated you become because you can't see beyond your irritation and your frustration. So it makes matters even worse. It makes matters worse. So here's the next thing that frustration reveals. Frustration also reveals that there may be some unresolved issues or emotional wounds. Some unresolved issues or emotional wounds. So when you get frustrated, let's say about the I like it, thank you. When you say you get caught up with, okay, I really want to walk out my credit. Let me use credit because you're thinking, what does that get to do anything? I want my credit to change. I want to improve my credit score. I want to improve my savings. You think about that and you go, yep, I want to do it. But if you don't deal with the unresolved issue of maybe being a shopaholic, if you don't deal with the unresolved issue of just not being able to handle your finance well, you're going to be frustrated because you're going to find yourself back in that same cycle, in that same pattern, and nothing changed because you did not change. You only got frustrated. You didn't get the change that you need or that you're looking for. But there's that good that can come out of it. If you really want the change, then you got to go through that process that frustration can bring. And I'm telling you, there is value to frustration. Frustration is there because you realize what you cannot control. You realize those things that are out of your hands. You realize that, you know what, I tried to do this on my own, but I can't. You realize that your unresolved issues or your emotional wounds finally needs to be taken care of. And frustration will reveal that to you. Frustration reveals those hidden things that you've kept secret from everybody, to include yourself. You didn't want to deal with it. You didn't want to deal with the emotional anguish of being in the situation where you were, years ago. You never dealt with it then. And so now you're back in that same situation, and now you're mad that the same situation is back. Well, the same situation is back because you have yet to resolve it. You have yet to resolve it. So far, I've given you frustration reveals unrealistic expectation, the confusion between perception and truth. It also reveals when you have misplaced blame. And then I just gave you unresolved issues and emotional wounds. And then I want to tell you this. This is what I want to say also when it comes to frustration. Frustration really shows your true character. You ever heard the idiom of you have a sponge, and whatever you place that sponge in, when it turns, that's what comes out. So if you put a sponge and let it soak up water, when you start turning it and squeezing it and pressure starts being applied, then water's going to come out. But if you take a sponge and you place the sponge, let's say in Coke, you place that sponge in Coke and you start turning and squeezing it, right? And the pressure starts to come on. Whatever is in that sponge, that Coke now comes out. So you can't stand there and go, man, why isn't water coming out when you've already placed it in Coke? What am I saying with that? I'm saying that whatever is in you as a character person, whatever is a part of your character, whatever is in you, when frustration comes and the pressure comes and the squeeze is on, that's what's going to come out of you. So if you're a nice person normally, if you're just nice and I wouldn't say just mild-mannered, but that's who you are. You care about people and their feelings. When the pressure is on and you're in that place of frustration, you're going to continue to be that nice person. You're going to find a way to work around the situation. But if you are still dealing with anger, if you are still dealing with hatred, if you are still just dealing with things that are just unkindly and unseemly, the minute pressure hits and things aren't changing the way you want it to change, or things aren't looking the way you want it to look, or an issue just seems like it should have moved on by now. When you start dealing with that and the squeeze comes on, what is in you, your true character will start coming out. It's the truth. Your true character will start overflowing based on who you are in the midst of pressure called frustration. Yeah, there's value in frustration. So I'm saying all that to say what? From my own experience in dealing with frustration. First of all, you got to admit when you're frustrated. Don't give it this whole band-aid and cover up of, oh, I'm just having a bad day. It's a bad moment. I can't. Call it what it is. Call it out. I'll use Jonah as an example. When Jonah was on the ship, he had to do what? Read the book of Jonah. He had to do what? When the waves started coming, he realized, he said, it's me. He didn't want everybody else to get irritated or wondering why. They were wondering why, what's going on. And Jonah knew it was me. He dealt with and understood that he was at the point of frustration that was causing him to make bad decisions. So you got to know who you are. You got to accept that, you know what, right now I'm in a place of frustration. So if you're not kind you don't have the kind heart with kind words when you're frustrated, this would be the time for you to separate a little bit. Watch your words. So watch your circle during the times when you're frustrated. If you know that you're one that lashes out, you don't go out. Don't go out and do anything with anybody. So I want to say this. Once you accept frustration, then you'll see the opportunities that's in those points of frustration. There is value to frustration, and frustration is real. There is value to frustration. What does frustration do? It gives you an opportunity for change. Frustration allows you to see the opportunity to transform out of old things into new things. Frustration will do so much more for you than you even realize, as long as you can accept the value that frustration can bring. So, what's the first valuable point? Um, Frustration, when you accept it and realize where you are, it opens up the opportunity for self reflection and self respect. Frustration opens up the opportunity for self reflection and self respect. Think about this. When you're in a place of frustration, and again, people are failing you, they've been making promises that they don't keep. You've been making promises yourself, but you've been so inconsistent that it caused you to become extremely frustrated and irritated. So when that starts happening, you now have the opportunity, in the midst of your irritation, in the midst of your frustration, you now have the opportunity to take a step back and examine yourself. To thy own self be true. To thy own self be true. Take that moment to examine yourself. When you're in the midst and you're so frustrated, you really, really, really got to be able to know and understand, why am I at this point? I don't know why. But that's that time. Go and check your heart. Examine the respect that you have for yourself, and also examine or reflect of where you are. Why are you at this point? Why are you allowing these things to get so far under your skin that is throwing you off of your character? It's an opportunity. Frustration opens up the door for opportunities. Here's the next opportunity. Frustration gives you the opportunity to bring about change. Yep. It allows you the opportunity to bring about change. If you get so frustrated about seeing the same thing, if you get so frustrated about seeing a group of homeless people sitting at the same stop every day, you ride by and you keep thinking, man, why do they come out and ask me for money? I wish they could do X, Y, Z. Those frustrating points are right there. It's in your face to make a difference and to make a change. The change to help somebody else. When it comes to relationships, when you start thinking about change, frustration also gives you the opportunity to see about that friend, to see about that coworker, to see about that spouse or that family member. It gives you the opportunity now to change the dynamic of the relationship. Sometimes we are in relationships much longer than we're supposed to be. Or sometimes we're in relationships too short that we didn't give the opportunity to grow beyond our frustration. So you got to understand that it really does bring about change. Frustration has the value of bringing about change. That's the value. And then another opportunity that frustration brings the opportunity to grow and mature. When you're so frustrated, if you keep doing the same thing you did when you were 15 in your midst of frustration, and you do the same thing that you were doing at 15 at 30, the exact same thing when you get frustrated, and then the same thing in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, that means you are lacking, or you're not taking advantage, I should say it that way. You're not taking advantage of the opportunity to grow based on what the frustration is showing you. You have got to be able to grow beyond letting everything irritate you. You got to go beyond letting the same soft spots hit you. If you have the same soft spot every single time, that means it's time for you to examine what it is. It is time for you to grow in that area. It's either time for you to become more consistent in whatever it is to bring about the change, or it's time for you to let go because that time is over. But it's on you to really take the value that frustration can bring when it comes to your growth. And here's the final thing before I jump off. Frustration creates the opportunity for you to become the leader you are. Frustration creates the opportunity for you to become the leader that you are. You know, when you're dealing with lack, And there's some people that are so frustrated because, they have to work a few jobs to make ends meet. There are people who are frustrated just going to the grocery store right now with everything being so high. We're not talking about $5, $6 gas. I mean, we're just talking about the whole gamut of what people are dealing with that's bringing about frustration. But it's in the midst of that you get to be the leader. And you get to be the leader based on your words and your attitude. Frustration will allow you to lead people who are also frustrated out of where they are to where they need to go. That's why I'm on today. Because all the frustration that I was dealing with, this catalyst, the phone being the catalyst. And then I started looking at other situations that I'm like growing so frustrated about things not coming together the way I want to, the change I don't see. But it's like, am I going to be the leader on it, or am I going to sit and murmur and complain? How am I going to use the value of what I'm feeling called frustration? How am I going to do it? I'm going to teach lessons learned. That's how I'm going to do it. And then I'm also going to look at the areas I need to grow in. So when we're trusting and believing for our growth, when we're trusting and believing that God will never leave us or forsake us, when we are trusting and believing that all things are going to work out, and I'm not just talking about saying it, you got to live it until you see it. Keep saying it until you see it. And I'm not talking about name it and claim it. I'm talking about hold on to the word that you have. There's a reason why. And to the gentleman that talked about his finances, there's a reason why you want your finances to be in better order. Hold on to the reason why, not just the process that you're going through. So when you become frustrated that the bills still look the same, when you become frustrated that the income still look the same, don't get caught up on that. Know that in the end of this process, there is value. You will learn on how to better manage your money. You will learn how to better distribute where it needs to go. You learn how to prioritize because there's value to it. So I would tell you, be the leader. Have the self-confidence you need. And don't allow frustration to pull you out of the character that you should have, that would allow others and others would want to be around you, because you can be the leader you need them to be. And you can be the leader they need you to be, is what I should say. So what is frustration? It is real. It is real. And I need us to all recognize that there comes a point when we all become a little too frustrated. But I need you to see the value of your frustration. There's nothing happens by chance, but everything can come to give you the experience to grow. Do that self-examination to see, why am I so frustrated about this? Or why am I so frustrated about so many things? Examine yourself and see if you are placing the blame in the right place. And also ensure that you don't have a perception that's different than the truth. Don't let frustration overtake you. Just let frustration help grow you. All right, be blessed. Don't forget to click like and share. Make sure you share this word because somebody else needs to hear it besides me. Have a blessed day on this Saturation Saturday. Enjoy this weekend. Be blessed, everybody.